Okay, here's the deal. We gotta break into this house, and all we have to do is steal this one VHS tape.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Haidt.
And I am Chelsea Duff.
All right, so this week we are doing something that may actually be very scary, because I know that I was actually very scared watching this movie. We're doing the 2012, I don't know if we can call it a classic yet, but it's a movie, VHS.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It is a movie.
It's actually many movies all together. It's exciting. It's an anthology. And it's also rated R. So that is something I forgot before going into it. A rated R horror film is a different ball game. I think we've been doing some light fare of late, and so my tolerance for spooky scary was a little bit lowered until this punched me in the fucking face. Anyway, I'm gonna read the IMDb log line right off the bat in case you have no idea what's going on. This is what it says. When a group of misfits are hired by an unknown third party to burglarize a desolate house and acquire a rare VHS tape, they discover more found footage than they bargained for. That's so cutesy. This is not a cutesy movie. They got more than they bargained for. They sure fucking did.
I also got a lot more than I bargained for watching this movie. I had never seen it before. All I knew about it going in was that it was like anthology style, but I didn't really know what that meant. Like, I wasn't sure if the guys in the beginning were the first anthology or the framework, and I was not sure until probably 2 anthologies had gone by, and then I was like, okay, I feel like I'm getting the gist now. But also it was really stressful, and I'm really upset in a lot of it. And I kept being like, okay, I'm just gonna wait to see where this is going, because I don't know what this is, and I don't know how to feel about it yet. And it reminded me a lot of like Fresh, where it was like so disconcerting and like upsetting to watch some of it. But I felt like with Fresh, I kind of always knew that it was gonna pay off in a way that I liked. And with this one, I was not sure. And like I got rewarded by the end of the first anthology, and then the end of the second anthology. I was like, okay, I feel like my faith is really being extended, but is being rewarded so far. What was your first experience watching it though? You guys had seen it before. When had you seen it?
Yeah, we both saw it in college, obviously separately, because we didn't fucking know each other then. But
we did not know each other then.
No, I think this is actually the third time I've watched this movie, because I remember watching it once. I don't know who the fuck I was with, but I rocked my fucking world. Like, not like I loved it so much, but I like fucked me up. I was so scared. And then I remember I showed part of it at least to Adam, because he remembered the Amateur Night film. They all have little names, so here I'm gonna set that up now, so everyone knows. The framework one, aka the first one, but it's like throughout, that's tape 56. So it starts off the movie, and then it also sprinkled in throughout the movie. That's tape 56. The next one is Amateur Night, so the first full vignette that we get, that one's called Amateur Night. Then after that is guy with the camera glasses. Then after that is Second Honeymoon. That's the Ty West one. The couple on vacation.
The desert road trip, which was rude considering I just did one. Yeah. I was like, I literally just got back. How, like, don't you dare ruin this for me.
The third one is Tuesday the 17th. That's one with the group of friends on the road trip. The fourth one is The Sixth Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger. I like that name a lot. And that's the one that's all over Skype, because Zoom didn't exist back then. And then the final one that we see is 10/31/1998, which is the date on the film, the date that it took place.
The Halloween.
So anyway, back to the beginning. Amateur Night really is seared into my brain. We'll get into the whole thing. So I watched this movie and I was like, I remember every single tiny bit of this movie because it fucked me up so bad. And we know me. We all know Monica. I don't remember shit.
That's saying a lot. Yeah.
I remember everything because it's so scary. Anyway, Sydney, how was your first? When did you watch this first?
So I had to have watched it like right after it had come out because I watched it at my friend's house. So probably like 2013.
Friends, that's pretty new.
And this was back when I was still watching like new horror movies
Before
on
your
the reg.
boycott.
Before my boycott. I remember being like really freaked out, and I haven't watched it since because I remember being, and I was a little let down, quite frankly.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's I've just now constantly watching horror movies,
Sure.
and so like this left me unsettled, but in like a different way than like I wasn't scared, but I was just like
ick.
Yeah, like this movie gave me the ick.
Big
Yes.
ick.
Okay, I will say
I totally agree.
I was not necessarily like afraid that something was going to happen to me. I was like afraid of what kind of movie it was. Is what made me feel like very scared and afraid that like I didn't know what I had signed on to like watch and discuss. And that was what made me like really super uncomfortable. And that's why I kept being like, okay, I feel like the faith I am extending them is paying off. Because like the beginning is so horrible. What did you call the 56?
Tape 56. So I think it's to go through this, we'll go through each one as it goes. Tape 56 will be a little bit harder because it kind of plays out over the course of the film. But I think like talking about each one at a time would be good. But yeah, tape 56 is like a bitch slap to start. Like, yeah, Fink's killing titties in the first second, but like that felt okay. These were non-consensual titties in the first minute, and it was horrible. I was like, well, I don't remember this movie being so expletive, or exploitive. Excuse me.
And that was what was making me really upset too, because it was like I personally am on board for a rape revenge film, because then it's like the person who's being tortured the whole time for the whole rest of the movie, other than this one really awful scene, is a person who deserves to be tortured. You know what I mean? And so like I'm okay to watch it, and I'm okay to watch horrible things happen to good people and other horror movies. But if it's like I have to meet a new character and see horrible things happening to all kinds of different people, whole new groups of people, the whole thing, I was just like not sure that I was up to the task of that. And then so like the beginning with tape 56 was really rough, and then going right into the amateur night, it was confusing also, because I was like, are these the same guys? Because they're kind of also shitty dudes harassing women, maybe being sexually inappropriate with them, and then for sure being sexually inappropriate with them. And so I wasn't really sure like what the line was. Like I said, I wasn't sure if it was all anthologies throughout or if there was a framework. And by the time I figured out there was a framework, I was like, okay, I know how to interact with this at least. But I will say, when we met the creepy girl in amateur night, I was like, I hope that she's a ghost and that she eats them. And then she did. So I loved that.
Lily? Yeah. Her name's Lily.
I love
She's
her.
Amazing. Wait, before we go into amateur night though, let's just talk about the beginning of 56, because if we jump all over the place with this one, it's gonna be so fucking confusing.
Yeah, I just needed to be clear that like it was such a breath of relief. I was like, okay, I feel
totally
better.
But yeah, amateur night. Tape 56, the beginning one. That one's directed by Adam Wingard, and I guess I don't know. I feel like he kind of like put this together more. But there's like different directors for every single one of these projects. But I read this one article that said that referred to this as a group of hoodlums. Imagine the Jackass guys on angel dust with less morals. And I was like, yes, it's precisely. That is precisely it. They're just like a bunch of people who like to hurt other people and bust down buildings. But the one thing I will say is that I really, really like the way this one like set up how we're watching all of these VHSs. Like I thought that part of it was brilliant, cut out the first fucking 10 minutes, please. Jesus, I don't need that. Could have told me that they sucked without the sexual assault. And then in the fucking credits, they did like a remix of the sexual assault over and over again. And I was like, okay, because I was like on a high at the end of this movie because I really liked the last one. And then they go to like clips from the first one. I was like, no, don't bring it back to the worst one, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is tricky because like I said, with the concept of the rape revenge film is like, yes, you have this horrible thing that happens and that you as the audience often are witnessing, but then it like rewards you for sitting through that by being like, and now we torture these people. And like in the tape 56 one, like the guys do got, but also not really on camera for the most part. So like they're just showing with that
subtle.
one. Yeah, with that one, they're just showing so much sexual assault and so much use of the N-word. And then
yes,
they just
oh my god,
why did I not
hated
hear that? Did my brain
I
just
missed it at first.
bleep
I had
it?
to go back. And then he also called the other guy my Negro, which I really didn't like either.
Oh, I totally literally didn't hear a single thing. The only one thing that I thought was funny in this first part was they were rewatching the sexual assault part, and he was like, yeah, I know that she was gonna have great tits. And some guy was like, oh, you just knew because you're a boob psychic. And I did laugh out loud to that, but then I felt bad about it. Yeah. But I also love like that the one guy was they don't get to have names. One of the other guys was like, we should do an upskirt thing. And the main head honcho bad boy was like, absolutely not. He like went Super Saiyan at the concept of upskirts. And I was like, okay, so that's where you draw the line.
There it is.
Interesting. Very interesting.
At least they have boundaries.
No, I don't think so. But I think it's a really brilliant concept because I remember being so shooken up the first time I watched this when they like go into the house and there's just I misremembered that they pull all the VHSs from the basement and bring them up. But in my mind, it was like just big stacks of VHSs. And I love the visual of all those TVs like all over the place. So you imagine like this guy, whoever the fuck he is, who's dead on the couch, the old man who's dead on the couch that they find, is just watching like 15 snuff videos at once on 20 different little mini screens.
Right?
It's a horrifying concept. It's a really cool visual though. And I just love that that's like that's the vehicle to see all these other movies.
One thing that I think this movie does have like going for it is just how like creepy VHS tapes are. Like if this was like a DVD, it would not be as creepy, which like The Ring had that too. Know what I mean? Like it has to be like there's just something like very sinister about VHS tapes.
It's like the glitchiness of it that really adds character.
Well, yeah, and especially
and, like, the white noise, and just the
and they do a really good job of capitalizing on that throughout all of the films. But like tape 56 does a good job of that too. It's also continues to be fucked up, but it's like the whole concept of the tape being a previously used tape being taped over. So you get like even a deeper picture of how fucked up these dudes are because it's all taped over a non-consensual sex tape. And that keeps bleeping in over it too. So I'm like, yeah, I guess it's doing a good job of making me feel terrible and reminding us that this is a VHS tape. But I really didn't want it to be there. But yeah, they're capitalizing on that. Good for them. Adam Wingard, why?
Yeah, I just like I said, I didn't know what I was getting into. So they have the setup, and literally like my first few notes are like, okay, actually if this is a sexual assault thing, I hate that it's found footage. And then her tits just got shown. I really hate this. So that was like, even before they whipped out a girl's tits, I was like, this is bad and I'm getting bad vibes and I think this is gonna be awful. And then, but I also kept waiting for them to be like reveal that it was like an amateur Girls Gone Wild and the women were consensually participating in the filming, but like the concept was that they were terrible.
Yep.
No. And then literally my next note after that is I hope these men get eaten by a monster, and that's what the horror is for this short. And again, so when it fed into the harpy one, I was like, yay.
Right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think we can move on to Amateur Night because tape 56 just like kind of sucks. Like I wrote in my notes, I remember hating the base premise of the film. Like I remember like the whatever sets it up is really annoying, except for the dead guy on the couch. And I do like those little scenes like later on when they're in the basement and you see them like the man like walk by. And the head honcho of the douchebags is like, no, you're fucking crazy. There's nothing there. I'm like, you're gonna die worse because you're a dick, and now you're gaslighting your friend who saw a ghost. So how dare you? But I also, okay, I said we talked about it throughout, but I just never want to talk about this again. I didn't notice that like in between a couple of them were like losing people because I just didn't care about them. I couldn't like tell you how many dudes
or what
there
they
were,
look like, or their names,
or what they look like. I don't want to ever think about them again.
I know one is named Zach, but my brain was just not committing any of the rest of it to memory, and it also took me a minute to be like, oh, they're disappearing. That's why I didn't realize that in each time. And
then at one point, the guy behind him like isn't in the chair in the middle of it, and then he comes back. Well, but I don't know. I didn't notice that. I
think he's
left
gone for the
in
last
the middle.
one, I think.
Yeah. That I noticed. Having seen it before, I really did love the shot though when he's setting up the camcorder. And so he's like the first guy is sitting down and he's setting up the camcorder where you can see the dead zombie. I guess he ends up being a zombie, by the way. I read that in one of the descriptions that he's a zombie actually. So
okay,
the old man is a zombie. It's a zombie thing. Cool. But yeah, it's like
very unclear that
very
unclear, incredibly unclear. But in the text, it was like, and he ends up being a zombie, and I was like, yes, of course. It was very
He did reanimate.
He did. I thought he was just. I mean, they're not doctors. They're idiots.
Pretending. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're fucking idiots. They don't know if he's alive or fucking dead. Are you kidding me? But they didn't check. Really? They're just like, he's just sitting there and he smells like shit. Which, like, classic. I mean, I wouldn't want to touch him either. So, but I also wouldn't be breaking into an old man's house in the night. So,
and then just chilling in the room with him.
Yes, and he just sits down right in front of the dead guy.
Gary
brings it up so the dead guy is right behind his head, and I was just like, oh man, I know what's gonna happen at the end. I know what happens to you.
Sitting in the same room with a dead person isn't that bad. I've been to funerals like that before. So I'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
Funeral's a little different than just discovering a dead body and chilling with it. Like, it's one thing when you go in knowing a dead person is going to be there.
And like, I'm opting into the dead body experience.
Yeah, when it's like kind of what the event is centered around is the dead person, that's different than this situation, which was bad and I didn't like.
Not ideal. For me, if I walked in and I was like, there's a dead guy, I was like, you know what? I'm quitting this illegal porn ring that we have created and I'm going home. Anyway, that's tape 56. Honestly, hate it. But the first one, Amateur Night, is one of my favorites of all of the anthology films that we get. So this one is directed by David Bruckner and written by David Bruckner and Nicholas Tchaikovsky. And something that I think is like really, really cool about this is that there was a spinoff based on this little anthology short film, Amateur Night. Okay. That was the inspiration for Siren, the 2016 horror film. And it's about the same. So this is the IMDb log line for Siren. It's a bachelor party becomes a savage fight for survival when the groomsmen unwittingly unleash a fabled predator upon the festivities. So it's like the same exact concept. Not that this was a stag night, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just completely based off of this because people loved this so much. And it stars the same girl. It's the same girl. Yeah. Apparently David Bruckner like really fought, or no, the director was Greg Bishop for that movie, and he fought to keep Hannah Fireman, that's her name, as Lily, and like the producers are trying to get somebody else in there and recast. But no, they brought her back.
Good.
And she fucking slayed it. We need her Helena Bonham Carter ass needed to be in it. Okay, come on. But anyway, yeah,
I loved her like big scary eyeballs and
Huge.
her like just weird mannerisms
Mhm.
that were like very unsettling, but also just like, okay, I could see how a drunk guy could be into this.
yeah, I mean, she's cute. She's very cute. I mean, okay, another thing I'll say about this one, just the premise in general, I liked the ones, there's two where they get creative with the way the camera is introduced into the scenario to like kind of make it not all just like someone holding a camcorder, because that's not necessarily a natural thing. You're not going to see, not everyone's going to be filming everything all the
Mhm.
time. So the secret camera glasses, as someone who loves the spy shop and as a
Uh-huh.
kid would go to the spy shop, and I wanted secret camera glasses to be a spy, and I really wanted those glasses that had a mirror in the side so you could see people behind you. I was like, that's sick. That's dope. They look really fucking dumb on him, and I feel really bad because they like chose like the nerdy like little guy to wear the glasses, and I was like, you're just really hampering his game right now with these.
I thought he looked cute with the
I also
glasses.
thought he looked cute with
did.
the glasses, but I also did think they were bullying him, making him wear the glasses.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
both.
It can
He
be
looked
it can be
cute.
both.
It could be both.
They
and
don't
it was
understand what
both.
appeals to women, so they thought that they were bullying, but also the glasses were fine if he was genuinely a nice boy, which he's not.
Yeah, I mean, he is the nicest of the boys, I would say. But
I
that's not saying a
feel
lot.
like being a bystander to all of that is also pretty, it's not that was one of the things that I struggled with in that vignette, where, not to spoilers for the first vignette, but by the time the end was happening on screen, I was like, okay, maybe I hope he gets tortured less than the other guys. And then I was like, actually, maybe I don't hope that. Maybe I hope he gets tortured exactly the same. Like, I couldn't decide.
Yeah, no, because they set him up as like a sympathetic character in the wake of all these fucking douchebags. Because we get the number one bag, the hot, tall one, who I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna look up their names. Fuck them.
What's do you know the alpha name shit or whatever? You know how it's like Chads and I don't know what they call Brittany's
Chads
or
and
maybe
Brads.
Brads.
But and also I just want to apologize because I know that we have a listener named Chad because he just left a funny comment on one of our fresh TikToks because that guy's name is
love you,
Chad,
Chad.
too.
We love you, Chad.
So like no shade to any Chads out there who are not bad. But is there like a name for the Chads, or like the alpha dogs who are like the guy in the video who swoops in on the harpy girl when his girl fully passes out? Is there a name for like dweebs? Do we know? I feel like in the Barbie game, if y'all ever played the Barbie game back in the day, do you never played the Barbie board game? I loved it. I was obsessed with it. And I think I made a joke about it. Oh, maybe that was on my personal TikTok 1 million years. Anyway, don't look it up. But there's a dweeby guy. His name is Poindexter in the Barbie game, but he's cute.
He's giving Poindexter.
He's giving
for
Poindexter.
Sure. Okay, I found the men's names, and I couldn't tell you who's who.
Okay.
But it looks like there's a Shane, a Patrick, and a Clint.
Huh?
Clint is
There's so
Clint
many
is-
names in this movie.
I don't know.
Clint is the one in the glasses. Shane is the one who was being creepy with the passed out girl, and Patrick is the one who got his hand bit
Okay, well,
off.
none of their
Oh.
names made it into my notes. So
That's fine. But yeah, okay, like imagine like is this I watched this one with Adam, and I was like, is this what dudes do? And he was like, not dudes that I hang out with. And I was like, thank God. But I was like, imagine you're going out for the night and you're like, yeah, Clint, I want you to do a consensual porn with glasses on your face. Like, what? It was 2012. You can get porn. You can get porn on the internet. You can go on the internet. You can Google porn and you can get it that way. You do not need to film it yourself. What is wrong with these
And
people?
here's the thing too. Sometimes you could just ask. somebody's gonna been like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Isn't it hotter if everyone knows about it and can really ham it up for the camera? I don't get this.
Exactly.
It's just, oh my God. I was like, okay. So we went from some amateur porn men in tape 56, and now we have some more
Yeah.
non-consensual amateur porn men. Amazing. There's a theme. We love a theme. Not this theme. We hate this theme.
You can see
but boy is it a theme, and this is like why it gave me the
And then
ick.
it made me like very
it was
mistrustful.
so much all at once.
It made me so mistrustful of the Halloween boys when we got to them, because I kept waiting for them to be bad, but being like, I think they're good. I hope they're good. Please let them be good. But to stay on topic,
Well, it kind of like, I feel like it's all concentrated at the beginning, and I feel like they kind of did it. I don't know why they did that. I don't think that one needed to go first
And it
if
made
it was
it
going to
so
be that theme all at
confusing
once.
to me, because it was
Yeah.
the same thing with both of them, and so I was like, this is the same. These are the same dudes, because again, no faces, no names, none of that was sinking in. So it's just like, okay, now these dudes are
Yeah.
here.
But one thing I will say, getting off these dudes because they fucking suck. They get into the bar scene, and that's when it starts getting good. And like seeing this before, I don't know if I noticed this the first time, and Chelsea, let me know if you noticed it. But did you like immediately clock Lily?
Yes,
The
100%.
because she's just immediately just like weird in the club. She's just like stock still, just staring into space, and then stock still and staring at you, and like it just, the way they introduce her I thought was really, really cool, like because there's so much chaos and noise and all this stuff because they're at a bar, they're fucked up, and she's like completely still, completely the opposite of that. I thought that was really cool.
She also was like mumbling, but not necessarily, like her mouth was kind of moving at some points, but not necessarily saying anything.
Yeah.
The only thing she was saying was, I like you. And I wasn't sure what was happening at first, despite my earlier, I hope all of these men get eaten by a monster note. But I did write in my notes, if this girl has been dead all along, ... And then my next note is, I hope she has been. And it didn't quite go that way. Although, again, that theme came back around later with the, she's been dead for 47 years. You know, that like urban legend where it's like, she needed a ride home and we got her in the car. We were going to give her a ride. And then you got there and then some old lady was like, there's nobody in the, do you know what I'm talking about? Am I just saying things?
I have literally no idea what is going on.
Oh my God, there's like it's like a
I know the
classic-
concept, but what are you talking about? The Harpy Girl?
Yes, I'm like, I thought that this is what was gonna be the Harpy Girl.
Oh,
then
okay.
she ate them, but then there was like more that same theme of girl asks for a ride, we got her in the car, she was dead all along, like pops up again in the other vignettes.
Yeah, no. Ugh, I don't know. This one is just such chaos, and it just gets more and more chaotic. I just thought this one was brilliant the first time that I watched it. I love the like slow reveal, like just like makeup wise, like you don't like think about the makeup transformation that much because it's found footage and it doesn't feel like you need to pay attention to that, but she always has that wrinkle on her forehead or whatever. And then
the line on her forehead,
and it gets
her
longer.
ginormous
Yeah.
eyeballs.
And the line gets longer and longer as the time goes on.
I didn't notice
it
that
starts
until
coming
it was the
down
full
on
split.
Oh
I
no,
think.
when she's in when they get back to the hotel room, because basically they get kicked out of the bar because they're being fucking assholes.
Yeah.
And they drunk drive home. Patrick, I think, drunk drives home. Love that.
They're doing blow in
and
the
it
car.
turns out they're the guys who say my Negro, not the first guys who said the full N-word. So again, it's like, okay, you're setting up a very confusing premise if I'm supposed to be able to tell this group of guys apart. That is not a big enough distinction, full N-word to not quite N-word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these sexual assaulting racists, I can't distinguish them. Oh no. But yeah, so they get back to the hotel room and like Lily's acting full freak, like in almost like the fetal position on the bed, being just like watching everyone, like kind of hunched over. You're like, okay, maybe she's coked out. But yeah, I love that whole scene actually is where what we were talking about earlier, where it gets like really, really fucked up and like First you're like, am I gonna actually watch these people fuck on a bed right now? I don't want to watch even though he's the hottest one, he's the worst. I don't want to watch Shane and this drunk girl, Lisa, I think is her name,
Her name I
like
did
do it
note.
right now. Yeah. And then it turns into something very different, a near sexual assault, like very, very unsettling. But luckily everyone starts to die pretty quick after that to distract you. One thing I did that I do need to comment on is just like how cocky does Shane have to be like, oh, my girl's asleep. Well, moving on to Clint's girl. Like, just like not even
I'm
1
joining.
second.
And little bitch Clint just immediately backs off.
Oh, he's just like so offended he can't even do anything. And then Patrick, drunk ass motherfucker, giggling on the couch, just like completely strips naked. My favorite part of this whole thing is Lily being like, not him.
Well, here's another like absolute red flag that like these guys just maybe they were just so drunk they didn't notice, but like Shane is like on top of Lily and she literally just like flips him over and then she's
Like
on
he's
top
a
like so fast.
pancake.
Like she weighs 100 pounds sopping wet. Like there's just no way
Yeah.
she could physically do that.
I love the slow reveal with this. Oh,
And I was like, that's a red flag.
yeah.
That's a red
Super
flag.
strength. What red flag? But they're too busy caring about getting their dick wet. So
She seems chill with everybody but Patrick.
Yeah.
She's like,
She's
Clint,
like-
sure. Shane, bring it on. I got this. You watch. You do not participate.
you're
Well,
not allowed.
I wonder if she's just like, I am a responsible monster, and I know my limits, and I know what I can take on, and I can only kill 2 guys at once. So I need a little distance between me and this guy if Shane and Clint are gonna be right here. And then when Clint goes in the bathroom, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I can do Shane and Patrick because again, I'm gonna kill them.
No, no. Patrick is just really annoying. And she's
Well,
like,
I mean,
I don't
that's
even
also
want to
true.
fucking eat him if I don't have to, you know? He just drunk drove me. I didn't forget that. But I also love when she flips him over, you see her back because she's fully nude at that point. And you can see that there's like something fucked up going on with her back. Like her skin is like red and like looks like she has cuts on her shoulder blades, and that's where her wings pop out later. But when the violence really gets going, like I love that like Patrick is like, she bit me, which at first it's just hilarious because she said, I'm not down to fuck him. So you think like, oh, maybe she bit him because he was being a horrible person. But yeah, we get a lot of great evisceration in this movie. You don't get to see a lot of people get eviscerated anymore. It gets cut out of a lot of films. But not at VHS, honey. Everybody gets eviscerated at VHS.
Listen, a nice theme that we have going here is getting your dick ripped off and or bitten off.
I fucking forgot.
A great theme that we have here this week.
It was Patrick's dick. She ripped off Patrick's dick. She hated him. She thought he was really annoying, so she ripped off his dick.
Yeah, I just gotta say, like I said, I was putting a lot of faith in her being a ghost all along, and then I was like, she's not a ghost girl, and then I did transform back to, I hope she eats him, because I had in my notes, if she doesn't unhinge her jaw and eat him too, and then 1 second later, you got this shot of her as she's like stripping or being stripped, I forget. When it gets to her feet, her legs look all like a little scaly and reptilian, and you don't see it for long enough or enough to like know for sure what you saw at first. But then it goes up to her, and then her tongue is black too. And I was like,
yes,
these guys are so horny that
Ugh.
they don't even notice. Yes. And then Clint goes into the bathroom, and I was like, these guys are going to be dead by the time he comes back out. They weren't at first, and I was like, oh, never mind. And then he goes back in, and then we get that he just bit me, and I was like, okay, finally,
Yeah.
it's happening. Because I was worried about Lisa too. Like, I liked Lisa. And I'm really glad that nothing
was
happened
fun.
to her. And I was worried about that as well. Cause I was like, what if the harpy didn't attack the other girl just for being a little bit of a pick me? But I also liked that Lisa in the car with them was being like, just because I'm going home with you doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Doesn't mean you're in charge. Like, I am here of my own
Yes,
consenting
bitch.
adult. I am going to do some cocaine, but like, that doesn't mean anything, you little
But
bitchy
that's because
bitches.
I want
Yes.
to.
That she was like,
Yes.
that's because I have agency and can make my own choices. Yes, girl, queen.
Yes, girl. Yes, you can. Just like our Harpy Lily has the agency to open her goddamn forehead into some sort of mouth, and munch off everyone's dick and suck all their blood out of their neck and rip all their guts out.
Yeah, for me, the
Yeah.
only thing that was at all a saving point for Clint was that there was a moment where he started to be like, oh yeah, Lisa's also here. Now we know that other girl is a monster. I'm going to try to help Lisa a little
Yeah.
bit. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe he can die a little bit less than the others.
I loved his death though. Like one thing they do a lot of horror tropes in this whole anthology. And one of them that they really go for at least twice is falling down the stairs. And Clint, yeah, tries to escape. I feel like he really takes a long time to figure out how to open the front door. But once he does, he immediately fucks it and breaks his whole wrist open.
Do you think that Lily the Harpy actually liked him in any capacity? Or do you think he was like
Yes,
yeah.
part of the that's what I thought too, but then I couldn't tell if she was also just fucking with him. But when she like goes down the stairs after him and is being like, I like you to him again, and then she's like, no, like, and she gets sad. I was like, is it that she knows that he's going to be very scared by a crying woman and not know what to do, and that's also part of it? Or is she an appreciator of consent unlike these men?
No, she literally starts to blow him.
Yeah, she gives him the
And
saddest blowjob
he-
of all time, the spookiest
And
blowjob
like
of all time.
he's crying and like clearly not doing it. And so she's like, you don't
No
like
like?
me. And then no like. And then she is like, fine, bitch, I'm gonna eat you now.
I like that well, I don't know if it's actually what happens because I misremembered what happens at the end of this and I thought that he gets dropped, but it's just his glasses that fall off. But I thought maybe for a second she was doing that bird thing that some birds do when they just like drop their prey from like 10 billion feet and it goes flat and then they don't have to kill it. It's already dead and they suck all of its juices out.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, she's really a bird of prey. Cool. But yeah, I mean, that shot when he's gotten lifted off into the fucking sky and he's like screaming for his life and you can see like her above him. I just
Yeah.
it's so well done. Like they did the found footage good in this one, in my opinion.
That was the moment where I started to feel, again, was worried the whole time. Each new anthology was worried, but that was the moment where I started to feel like, okay, maybe this is going to be okay. Because earlier today, my stress level was very high, but I went for a walk. I took a nap. I brought it back down. I started to feel better. And then I started to watch this movie and it went right the fuck back up. But then when she picks him up and starts flying him away, I laughed and I felt 1 billion times better again. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
Yes.
And that really helped and carried us through the next one. Because not only was it very funny, but it felt like justice. And it felt like this movie is not just trying to make me feel 100% bad 100% of the time.
Yeah, no, I think that they kind of did at the beginning they did back-to-back Bad Boys, like tape 56, and then this one, the beginning of it was like very all misogynistic shitty, but then the end of this one gets you get some like bad boys die, all bad boys go to hell kind of vibes.
Good.
And then the next one, which is Second Honeymoon, you don't realize it until the end, but it is also a victory, for women in a way.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about this. What'd you say it was called? The honeymoon?
Second Honeymoon.
Second honeymoon. Yeah, okay, so it's a married couple and they're doing the
and
little
this is the one
desert road
directed by
trip.
Ty West.
Yes,
This
because
is
we
the
all
one.
just saw X.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot. And we're not talking about it on this episode. But I liked it, and we were talking about VHS, and I think that's what got us thinking about VHS in general. And again, that was part of why I was like, okay, I liked that movie. If he was involved with this one, maybe I'm gonna like it. Let me just hold on. But like I said, I just got back from driving through the desert. And so I was about to be really upset if they were gonna ruin the concept of doing a solo road trip, which I love to do. And like, sure, I know danger exists in the world, but you don't have to make it so personal within 24 hours.
Yeah. Fair.
But and again, I started to be like, is it the same thing? Because one of the first moments in that is the guy Sam filming his wife. Is her name Emily?
No, it's Sam and Stephanie. And before we dive all the way in, I just want to point out something that I thought was cool. Sam is played by Joe Swanberg, and he's the director of the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger, which is 2 short films later.
You're right.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. He's an actor and he is a director. But yeah, they're on this, like, I guess their second honeymoon, hence the name. And it's just this one is so awkward because they don't have chemistry. Sam and Stephanie, and that's the whole thing.
Well, that makes sense.
It's the whole thing.
But so early on in that one too, you also get like Sam filming Stephanie and then being like, take your clothes off, let's make a sex tape, and her being like, I don't want to do that, please stop filming me, I'm not comfortable with this.
Do camcorders make men horny?
What's going on here?
Apparently.
And they're like, horny.
And we asked the directors
Horny
of this
must
movie,
make porn.
why is this a theme in so many of them? And why are you also filmmakers? I just want you to think about it for a moment. I'm not implying anything. I want you to reflect and see how you feel and what you think.
I'm going to get a group of my guy friends together, and I'm just going to put a camcorder in the middle of the room, and I'm going to run away, and I'm going to peek through the window and see what happens if they just start filming a porn immediately. Like, what? Like, is that just something innate in men? No, I don't think so. But like, what the fuck? There's too much of that here.
The Halloween one makes me feel better about it potentially.
Yes.
And it makes me feel like some boys can be allowed to have cameras. But clearly not a lot of boys. Because again, it was the same thing where it was like, let me film you non-consensually. Now it felt like, again, sexual assault territory. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you're in a relationship, boundaries are a little less clear sometimes, and there's like more wiggle room that you're willing to allow somebody because you have like a larger sense of their character or whatever. And like, but when he goes, will you just take your pants off? I did laugh, and I was like, ha ha ha, okay, she's back to being silly, and it's not the end of the world. But it was just the same thing again, and it made me really nervous.
Yeah, because of the earlier vignettes, you know, it makes it feel more predatory.
And maybe they did that
probably
on purpose.
Wouldn't have felt that way as much if we had just been watching this in a vacuum. But I mean, this one really didn't scare me this time around. I know that Ty West can scare the pants off of me. I screamed bloody murder during X, but this one didn't spook me that much. Did it scare you on first watch?
Well, I gasped out loud when the knife came out the first time.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just kind of like unsettling. This one's like a slow burn. I love we get to see the Grand Canyon. Wonderful, beautiful. I also love the old prospector man thing that gives him his fortune, and that's a spoiler alert for the end. Or gives Stephanie her fortune.
I forgot kind of about this one. So like when they were in the Grand Canyon, I thought like the creepy girl was gonna like somehow be there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of expecting that, and then like nothing happened, and I was like, oh.
It's that anticipation.
And then we were back. This one, I screamed in happiness at the ending, you know, which like you shouldn't do, but like this one,
it was such a relief.
Yes.
It was such a relief that it was not more sexual assault, that it was not more a woman being filmed sexually without her consent while she's asleep in her hotel room with her husband. Like again, with the context of the first one, and I think they wanted you to have that. Like, I think that's what lends all of the like fear and the tension to this short film. I don't know that it would have that on its own. Although, like, I mean, it is a self-contained story, and I think it does work, but it's a different tone completely if it's just like, your fortune tells you you should be wary of helping strangers. Do you help this stranger, or might she betray you? Like, that's a different story, you know what I mean? But I was so worried that the husband was going to be terrible and bad, and then we had that video, and I was like, okay, so he's not the danger, maybe, because I was really worried he was going to push her into the Grand Canyon at one of those moments, or like trick her or something. I just again wasn't sure what was coming, especially with the setup of what had already happened on screen. And then so the reveal, I was just like, there's another breath of relief. I was like, okay, I can make it through.
And it's a canonically gay story. How wonderful.
Yes,
Isn't
love that.
Great?
Like, don't
love that.
Bad to murder, but I'm so glad that this is what it was and not literally anything else. It was a delight.
So do we think that the girl had like a key into the room? Did the girl like leave the door unlocked? Like, how did the murderer girlfriend get into the hotel room to record and film?
She probably she filmed her, like Stephanie filmed herself closing the deadlock, but she could very easily get up and open it again. You know what I mean? And I think that the girl probably had a key. That's probably pretty easy to accomplish. And also Sam sleeps like the fucking dead. I mean, they had like the bright camcorder light on them. That didn't wake him up. That would wake me up immediately. If someone put a knife on my butt, I'd wake up immediately.
Also, I'm not
I'm
sold
a light sleeper.
I'm not sold that Steph was asleep in that moment. You know what I mean? She could have just been pretending.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that Sam could review the footage later and be like, this movie's scary. Although he didn't, as far as we know.
Yeah. He would have been way more freaked out.
Hold on. Why do they sleep in separate beds?
Because she hates him.
Because she doesn't like him. She hates him.
I get that. But like, I think that would be like, if I was dating somebody and they didn't want to sleep in the same bed with me, I'd be like, we're breaking up. Like, why do you hate me? This is ill will against me. Like, I have a weird thing of like sleeping arrangements.
Sure.
If we start in the bed together, like, you better fucking be there when I wake up, or like you need to like let me know when you're getting like I have like a weird thing, because otherwise I feel like I've been abandoned.
Well, it was totally planned on her part, because like she made that whole big thing like, oh, he probably booked the room too late, and that's why we have the two separate beds.
Really trying to be like,
she
this
totally
is his
probably
fault.
called and changed it to two separate beds, so when he was eventually stabbed to death, she wouldn't get covered in blood, you know. Just practical.
Good thinking.
It's just practical.
Good thinking
She's like,
ahead.
he's like, do you want to sleep with me? And she's like, no, I'm okay. Yeah, because she doesn't want to get covered in his hot, sticky blood. You know, that's not her kink. It's not for everyone.
Listen, some people can't be like, although even I was very excited by the knife.
Those types of knives freak me out so much, because if I had one of those knives, what if it was in my pocket and I sat on it weird and it stabbed me in the ass? That's what scares me about it so much, because it just flies out. Those are illegal, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know knife laws.
Yeah,
switchblades are
real switchblades are like
illegal.
But
I know
when she was running that knife over her thigh, I was like,
I thought it was a man and I was very scared, but then when I saw it was a girl, I was a little less scared. Not
I love
scared.
that she was wearing that mask.
Too.
I have a picture of me in that exact mask.
Oh.
Ooh, I gotta find it. I gotta crop it also, because it has an ex-lover in it. But didn't kill him though, so don't worry. It's not the same type of story here. But yeah, I mean, I love that we got that scene of them making out in the mirror, and then them riding away together, and her being like, "Did you delete it?" Like, that's a perfect ending. So like, it's short, it's sweet. It didn't scare me that much, but the vibes were there. So good job, Ty West. I think the one that I don't know, I can't remember if I really liked this one the first time I saw it or not, but this one really fucked me up. This one really scared me. But Tuesday the 17th is the next vignette. And I think it's a fun concept. It's a little hokey, and I think it's intentionally hokey. But this is the one where there's a girl and she gets all her friends together to go on a road trip to the forest on a Tuesday the 17th. I don't know what month. And she tells every single one of them a different story to get them there. And then shit goes awry. So, did you guys like this one?
I thought that the blonde girl looked like Leah from Teen Mom. I liked it overall. I guess I didn't like get it as much as the other ones. I did, again, I was very wary. And then the first two anthologies had been like, don't worry, bad people die and get murdered brutally. So it's okay. Not to say that Sam in the second one was like the worst person ever, but after like the setup and then him like trying to get her to fuck on camera, and then when he was like, did you take my money, when we already knew that she didn't, then he was like, it would be the first time you treated yourself. I was just like, he is bad and I don't like him. He gave me bad vibes. And so I felt good about what happened to him, and I also just felt good that it was, again, A, gay, B, not sexual assault, and so all those things made me, when they scared the guy at the beginning of this one, and then she was like, we're all gonna die, I was like, okay, well, maybe they're bad people, so it's okay. And then I just like wasn't.
No, that's why I like this, because the rules change in every single one of them. It'd be boring if it was the same thing every single time. So this one was kind of like a breath of fresh air after like all this like sexual assaulty ones. The Ty West one was kind of like a slow burn, and then with a gay reveal. But I this one upped the action quite a bit, which I liked, and it was kind of funny.
What I
So the
couldn't tell,
characters
though.
are Wendy, Joey. Wendy's the main girl. Joey. Samantha's the blonde,
Oh,
and Spider is the geeky one.
I like his name, Spider.
Spider.
What I couldn't tell with the spooky guy is if they could only see him on camera or if they could see him in person too. And that was like a function of the fact that he wasn't showing up well on the camera. It was like glitching, but I couldn't tell if
He's
they were
called the
seeing him
glitch.
through the camera and he was like invisible in person, could only be seen through the camera but not fully captured, or if they could see him perfectly in person but he was not captured on camera. I felt like that was not clearly communicated to the audience what the setup was for that.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be ambiguous,
Okay.
because like she says that he so basically it's revealed slowly that Wendy brought them all there because this is the anniversary of a murder that took place 4 years ago, multiple murder that she was there for. All of her friends got killed by this unknowable assailant, and they call him the glitch. And basically she says like, oh, he was everywhere all the time and the police couldn't ever find him. They didn't understand what I was saying when I said he was everywhere all around us all the time. So he's like not fully human. He's like beyond human. And I love this one because I think that this one really played with the camera, like it being a camcorder, in such a fun way.
The camera was like a character
maybe,
in it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that it was such a good, like, it was such a creative device to reveal the horrors that had happened there before. Like, as they go into the forest, Wendy's acting fucking weird. Like, she told Samantha this was a girl trip. She told her boyfriend Joey that they were going on a romantic date in the forest together. And Spider just wants to fuck Samantha, so that's why he's there. I don't know how he got invited. But as they go around, Wendy's acting super weird, and she'll be like, "Hey, can you just like look at the, like, point the camera at this wall?" Like, I think she knows that the camera has something to do with it, because she like asks him to film different things. But they point it at the wall, and it like starts glitching. The camera starts glitching, and then you like go back in time, and you can see her friend who died there, and she's like absolutely ripped to shreds. It's so creepy. I really liked this one.
I feel like the more that I think about it and when you talk about it, it has to be that the camera is related,
Yeah.
Because she reveals to Joey that she invited them all there to be bait essentially for this guy, and yet also you see that she's like set up a bunch of traps, so clearly she was able to be there one time before and had time to set up the traps and the ability to do that without getting got by the guy. So it must be related to like the filming and the camera, that like he exists somehow in front of the camera or within the camera to some degree or something like that.
I think it's the date. I think that something around the
Oh,
date,
that's
and that's
also
why.
interesting.
Yeah, because she like came back on that anniversary. So I think that like only on that day somehow.
I didn't get that during the movie, but I know you said that earlier, so that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I also love the kills in this one. I read some articles and they were like, this one gives Cabin in the Woods vibes, and it totally does. Just like the hokiness of it. This one really plays with horror tropes a lot, too. But I loved Samantha's death, because it reminded me of Troll 2 for a second. Because like she's in the forest. Not that this happens in Troll 2, but like she's in the forest, she goes pee. I love the scene where she like peeks her head out from around the tree and is like, "Are you filming me?" And I thought that was funny. Anyway, but she's like about to do like a cheerleading dance and show it off for the camera, and it reminded me of the cheerleading dance in Troll 2 when the daughter does her whole fucking dance in the mirror, and it's incredible. But she's like about to start her dance, and then boom, knife right through the eyeball, and her eyeball comes out. We love that. We love to see
That
that.
was so visceral.
Gross.
Like I was like,
Visceral.
oh.
And there's like foreshadowing in the shit too. Wow, devices. But they show like there's an eviscerated pig earlier in the movie, or in this vignette, and it's like entrails are like coming out of it, and they're like playing with it or whatever,
And they want to
that
push
comes
Spider's
in.
face into it, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah, you're gonna get a disease. But it comes back again at the end of this vignette, and then yeah, Spider's death is pretty quick too. Like, imagine getting the force by which you would need to thrust a knife to stab it into someone's head a billion million times like that. That's how you know the glitch has superhuman or not so human abilities. That wouldn't be very easy to do.
And he can get out of all the traps.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not human. He like exists on like a different plane. Maybe it's like a multiverse thing. Ugh.
And I think that's part
MCU.
of why she's like, I need to get proof. Not just that he exists, but also because otherwise, even if you're like, I found this guy in the woods and he killed one of my friends, it's like, okay, he did one murder, but he wouldn't have been able to do all of these other ones. So clearly it's like a whole thing. No, it's this one spooky guy who can maybe teleport and cannot be captured on film.
Yeah. And I also love like the other camera glitch aspect, that like as he approaches, the camera starts glitching, and so then like even when he's just still far away and approaching, you can tell when it's coming. It's like really great anxiety producer to get you on edge, like when Joey gets his throat sliced. That whole lead up was so good.
And that it like glitches and shows the dead friends from before, but nobody who's filming seems to acknowledge or react to that. I don't think, like when it films the wall and it like glitches and shows the dead friend against the wall. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, Joey goes like, "Oh, there's something wrong with this camera."
But I don't
so it
think
might be like so quick for him because it's a little screen that he couldn't tell.
True.
That kind of thing, because he is complaining about the camera acting up.
I wish that, well, I guess maybe the ambiguity is like kind of cool. I wish I had the answers, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the ambiguity. And you think it's all over when Joey's like dying, and then there's a whole second act where she set up all those booby traps. And then when she gets stabbed, and you think it's all over, and she's, what is that? Like a wall of nails that she put together that
like
he steps on?
It seemed like he was squished almost, but then there was nothing behind him. He was just like
two that
impaled.
Came together? A little sick. She's great at that. Too bad he can't die. And then we get the part that, and I meant to mention this earlier. I read this one article that said that like when this film debuted, I think maybe at South by, there had been all these reviews where people were like, people were throwing up in the theater and they were screaming and they were running out and they were crying because it was so scary. And he's like, is that like real? Were those staged? No one can ever know. But I was like, if anyone's gonna barf at any part of the scene, unless it's a motion sickness thing, which couldn't be me, so I can't relate, don't know. But it would be the part where the glitch cuts her fucking stomach
So
open,
gross.
like performing a
Oh.
C-section, and then pulls all of her entrails out. That was a lot. That really icked me. Oh god, I was so freaked out.
Yeah, it was only at this part in my notes that I was like, okay, so are they each watching a video and then disappearing one by one? Like, it took 3 vignettes for me to understand what was happening in the grand scheme.
Oh no. You were so confused.
I truly was losing my mind, and I was like, how am I gonna do this? But it came together okay.
One last thing I'll say about this one is that at the very, very end, after she's been eviscerated and she's just laying there, you see her like start like tweaking out. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Why is she shaking so much? And apparently that's her becoming part of the glitch or whatever. So I don't do you think that means that all of those bodies, like when they died, like became part of this like glitch system or whatever? Like, did they like disappear into this like ethernet? Fucking kill me.
You know what?
Bring your Ethernet cables, everybody.
They're like, yeah, now we're gonna murder you to J for F, just for
J
fun.
for F.
Yeah, because like, do those bodies still exist in those spaces because they're like glitched out now and they're like just always in limbo there? Is that what that was? Is that what we were seeing on the film?
New
I
liminal
don't know.
space. I was very confused when Joey came.
New
liminal space just dropped.
New liminal space just dropped.
I was very confused when Joey came back over after getting his throat slit, because I was like, is he alive and he hasn't died yet, or was he reanimated by the guy or by the glitch, or what's happening? But then he immediately fell over and died again, and I was like, okay, he just wasn't fully finished off the first time.
Yeah, he didn't cut across a lot of his neck, just a little bit of his neck. So I think maybe he still had a little bit of blood.
But I
left.
like the idea that now that they're like trapped in the camera, or in this date, or this state in the camera, or whatever it is, and that's why she was like convulsing at the end, and that's why you got like the shots of the other people. Anyway,
is that what the metaverse is?
Yep. Yes, I think probably, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm not into it.
But Snoop Dogg's got a house
informative.
there, so you know.
Oh, Snoop Dogg, be careful. Seems like it's scary there. Oh no. And they were all high. Oh no, there's some themes here. Joint. Oh god.
We've
Okay,
got
all right.
2
Well,
more still. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Tuesday the 17th. The next one is the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Directed by Joe Swanberg, written by Simon Barrett. And something that I read about Joe Swanberg is that he is often called a mumblecore or mumble horror director. I saw it twice. I don't. Please, someone define that for me. No clue.
Or like
not a clue.
Slut or like horror.
No, mumble horror. No, I said. I'm sorry if I said
Oh.
horror. I meant to say horror.
What is mumble horror?
It's like mumblecore, like a mumble rapper, like understated. Is that what it is? Like mumble rap is kind of like not pronounced very well. So I'm trying to like think about how that maps onto film.
Horror
and
like,
horror.
I know what a mumble rapper is, but like, how does that relate
Yeah.
to movies?
I don't know. My brain feels the themes and it feels like it sort of understands, but can it articulate it into words? Absolutely not.
That
no,
specific
of course
question,
not.
I think, is one for another day.
But anyway, just so you know, he's a mumblecore director, Joe Swanberg, and the star of Second Honeymoon. But anyway,
Okay, yeah, you said that earlier.
yeah,
Here we go. Now
yeah,
I follow.
now it's all coming together. So the question that I have is, did this start at all? Did this start unfriended? Did this start the host? Is this the origin of the Skype video chat screen record movie? because Unfriended didn't come out till 2014, and this came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Unfriended took 5 days to shoot. No, I'm kidding. But like it's all on the computer, so I like it wasn't in production probably for 4 years or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. That it still counted when all the rest of these are like camcorder. But it's kind of cool to switch it up.
Yes. And I'm glad they switched it up because it was nice, I think, to have like a slightly different change of format. But what was interesting about it is I've seen Unfriended. And the thing about Unfriended that is different from this movie is that Unfriended is like you're watching it all live in a way. But then this movie, it's like, this is a VHS that one of those terrible guys from the beginning is watching in the house. And so, like, it's not live, like someone is recording it so that it can be shared later. So when Emily, like I kept being like, someone is recording this, that has to be part of like the central premise of this anthology.
So
who's doing it? It has to be this guy, right? And then she was like, "Oh, you record?"
Suspect.
Yes, she was like, "You record our video chats," and I was like, "Oh, okay, so he is recording the video chats." But then she was like, "Are you recording?" And he was like, "No," and I was like, "But he has to be, so he's a liar."
Yeah, it's a hint for the twist, and you don't really realize it. It's not so obvious, but if you're on the case, you're gonna notice that right away. But yeah, I really like this one. This is one. I mean, I've been saying this one's one of my favorite ones, but I think this one
This is one of my favorite ones too.
really effective and really, really spooky. I'm like just haunting stuff like that. Just like hauntings, really freaked me out, and I think this one was well done.
I thought this one was well done. I thought the twist was really good on this one, but one thing that I didn't get, that I didn't realize until later, was it's not ghosts, it's aliens.
Yes, it's aliens. Yeah, it's aliens. Oh yeah.
Like,
that's the whole thing. Oh my god.
I guess I didn't process that, but that feels obvious now in hindsight.
Yeah, it's aliens, and the thing that's fucking nuts is the kids that you see are the aliens. I thought that they were like weird actors, and that there was like an alien that was like speaking to him in his mind or something. Because I just didn't understand, because they look like kids. But no, like in the credits, like it says alien child number 1, alien child number 2. Like they're aliens.
Are they adult aliens who happen to look like human children, or are like using human children bodies as hosts, or are they babies?
There's no
I choose to believe that they are adults within their species, whatever that means, whatever the implications are.
I think they probably just took on a creepy, like they probably are shapeshifters in my mind, to be whatever they need to be spooky. And what's the spookiest thing? A kid ghost.
Why did they need to be spooky? That's what I mean, like, because it's fun and scary, but like, and I guess they needed her to, I don't know.
I think they needed to break her down psychologically to make her think that she has something wrong, that she's hallucinating, so that they can get away with doing more of these fetal trials on her. So if she doesn't trust her own sanity, and she thinks she has like whatever they diagnosed her with at the end,
disorder.
Yeah. Then she's going to be like, fuck, it's happening again. And she was already like that at the beginning of this, because apparently she had an incident when she was younger, hence the name, the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger.
Oh my God. When it revealed that she was fully fucking digging in her arm with like,
I hated that.
So
made me want to die.
That
made me
this
want
was just so unsettling in so many ways that you don't expect it to be.
And then, his name is James, and he was just like, "Don't do that." And I was like, "Call an ambulance."
Also,
he gives me Jack Quaid vibes.
A little bit.
You feel it? Thank you.
One of the things too that because like I didn't like, I forgot about most of them. I remembered the Harpy one.
Yeah,
like this one.
That one really sticks with you.
She's a queen.
And when it we're supposed to think that they are far apart from each other, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get when she gets like whacked over the head that it's him like cutting her open and reaching up inside of her to like take out tiny fetuses.
It's
And I was
yeah.
just like, oh my god, it's him.
Yeah. And the thing that's so unsettling that kind of goes undercover, but it's named in the name, like the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Like this happened when she was way younger,
12.
So this has been going on for years, unless that's unrelated, but I doubt it because he was in the picture. So he's been being controlled by aliens for years. He's been doing this to her for years because he said, like, I can't keep doing this to her,
Which also made me very angry and mad again. And back to the predatory men thing, because I was like, okay, is he a full ass? She seems to be in college. Is he a full ass doctor, therefore significantly older than her, and has also known her since she was 12, and is also gaslighting her, and is also, we later find out, using her body to harvest new little alien babies.
And he's doing
So
with the whole
he's
ring of people. So he's bad, big bad. I mean,
he's
even
in
if he's
med school.
yeah, he's in med
So
school.
I
He's
think
not in
they're
college.
like the same age.
She could be in grad school, I
or-
guess.
Yeah.
It just gave me super
Or
bad
like he's
vibes.
a couple years older.
Something that I also thought was interesting is like one she mentions on an offhand comment like, oh, when you moved off the base. So they're like army brats or something like that.
Mm.
And so I'm like, Area 51 connection. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. I just thought about that right now.
How did he get in bed with these weird alien children?
Yeah, I don't know. He was too close to Area 51 and he got zip zapped and made to do their bidding. But then they bring it back to, I mean, there's so much that goes on in this one, but like that, I mean, we've got to the crux of it. Also, I just want to shout out, I think that she's adorable. Emily is adorable.
Yeah.
But like when at the very end when it's revealed that he's doing this with other women and that other woman is on the screen and her arm is also itching, so that like he's not just two-timing Emily, he's two-time alien impregnating Emily, probably with other people too. But then it brings it back to the fucking weird porn shit, where like she like is stripping for him.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, we see those titties. And I was like, why does that have to be the theme that
overarching.
binds us all
Stop it.
together, except for
Yeah.
for Tuesday the 17th and for the Halloween one at the end? Those two don't really have it.
And thank God for them,
but-
because honestly, it is crushing the weight of this in so many parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But here's the thing too, in Tuesday the 17th, you have Wendy being like, don't you want to fuck me? Like,
Yeah.
that was just like very
Mhm.
jarring.
Yeah, that
quite
was really
frankly.
weird. And then we also get like Spiders like super horned up for Samantha the whole
And like
time
filming
making all
her,
these
and she's being like, "Are you
jokes
filming
about
me
her.
shitting?" And he's like, "No,
Being like
okay,
a-
yeah."
yeah, and making jokes about her
Oh, he
being
called
like
her a
bimbo
crack
or
whore?
whatever.
What a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked
So
when
there's
she touched the
misogyny running
mushrooms and then
through
was like, "Ooh, in your dreams." I liked that.
Yeah. And then Wendy's just like, yeah, by the way, you're all gonna die. And I was like,
Just
okay,
sprinkle it in.
bitch.
She did warn
Girl.
them, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really.
Mm,
It doesn't
she
really
did do
count for shit, but it's is it better than the alternative? I don't know. I just know that this Emily one,
because it's psychological warfare then. So she was scaring them up until the end, so they were uncomfy.
true.
They got the
Oh my
fear,
God.
which
The
I like
fear,
that whole
whole
thing.
speech, yes, so great. But the Emily one really, I think, is where I started to lose my shit, because in my notes,
It's really scary.
right after she starts to be like, that's why I don't remember running out into the street. You deserve to be with someone normal. What if we want to have kids one day? That fucked me up. And then I wrote,
Yeah.
okay, fuck James, fuck James, fuck James, over and over again until that scene with her ended and we got the new girl. Literally just sitting there typing fuck James over and over until the new girl popped up on the screen. And then I went, that's not Emily. Who the fuck is this? And then I started doing it again, being like, fuck James, now in capital letters, like the whole time.
We all
until that
have our
vignette was
coping
over.
mechanism.
Yeah. It just was, I could not put into words other than typing. Like, I was so angry.
Yeah. Oh man, it was really brutal. But I do think that one was really creative and had a really unexpected twist. Like I
Yeah.
had a good time being scared by that one, but again, still at the end of the day, we feel upset.
I s-
But that brings us to the final vignette.
Mhm.
And that's 103198. And in my notes this entire time, well, okay, sorry, I've been doing this for all of them. 103198 is directed by a directing group called Radio Silence. Spooky, unknowable.
Oh.
They were newcomers at the time,
Ooh.
apparently.
I love
Written
it.
by Matt Bettinelli Olpin, Tyler Gillette, Justin Martinez, and Chad Villa. I said that one wrong. I'm sorry.
At least two of those guys are the Ready or Not guys who also did the new Scream. Matt Bettinelli,
No way.
Goldman, and Tyler, whatever, blah blah blah. Say them again.
Gillette,
Yeah,
Matt
those
Bettinelli
two guys
Olpin,
both
and
for
Tyler
sure
Gillette.
worked on Ready
Oh,
or
no
Not. I
way.
think both for sure did
Oh,
Scream 5,
cool.
but there was some.
Well, this one I really, 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 really liked. But what I was saying before, it throughout my notes, I felt like I was like, everyone who is in this movie is in a fierce competition to become Spooky Tuesday's dumb bitch. They're just fighting for it. They're killing each other over it. And I thought that was very funny until I got to the end, and the one guy is like shits on the monkey man because there's a man dressed up as a bear / monkey. I'm not sure. I can't
He's
remember.
a nanny cam.
Hey, he's a nanny cam. It's a bear.
It's
And he
so
had that's so
funny.
funny.
It's so cute.
So funny.
These
He has
are
the camera
nice
in the
boys.
head.
Thank God there are some nice boys in this movie.
These are nice boys,
Thank
except one of
God.
them is like, aren't you getting a little too old to dress up for Halloween? And I
But
was like, no, he's the dumb bitch.
He doesn't come though.
He's just
You're
one.
never
He
too
stays
old.
in the
He's just
apartment,
one.
doesn't he? That guy doesn't
I'm
go
not
on the
sure
adventure.
because I'm not sure because there's a guy who looks like him. So I thought that it was him, but I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't fucking
feel
know. I
like,
don't care. Either way, whoever that guy is, he's the dumb bitch for saying you're too old, ever get too old to dress up for Halloween. Fuck you. He should have died if he didn't. We don't know. Anyway, we say that these guys are nice guys, but the characters are I guess are they named after the writers? No, that doesn't line up exactly. Never mind. There's Chad, Matt, and Paul. And then there's one other guy, and I didn't write his name down. Ugh. But Chad was dressed up as the Unabomber. So they are nice guys, but Chad was dressed up as the Unabomber.
Jesus Christ.
Matt was a pirate.
Incredible.
Paul was a Marine. And the other man, who will not be named, is the nanny cam. And the whole setup is them driving like literally all over. They're in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, they're on the 134.
Yeah, they're on the
And I
134.
think in the beginning they're in Griffith Park, aren't they? When they're grilling.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
like it, at
exactly like
least.
Griffith Park. That or Elysian. But yeah, so they're like driving all over town trying to find like this sick, cool house party that they're supposed to be going to for Halloween. And
Justin's party, bro.
Justin's fucking party. And so the whole time I was watching this, I thought that they went to the correct address, and that it was a setup for them to be murdered. No, they just went to the wrong address. They went to the wrong house. They're
This
just
is a
very
vignette.
unfortunate boys.
This is a vignette that Google Maps could have prevented. you know?
1998
Glad it was
came out
1998.
strong in this one. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this one was really cool, the way that they put it all together. Like how the guys like go into this house. One, first of all, straight away they are trespassing. And they're
But
like,
I
oh, there's
also
no one
thought-
here at this party. We'll just trespass into the cool spooky house. Like, I get it, but like we think about it for 1 second.
Mhm.
No.
If there's no
we don't.
party, maybe it's because this is not the party house.
The right house.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to be at a party where you can't hear the music playing outside of the house? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be that good of a party.
Seems lame, actually. These guys are
seems,
Justin's a loser if this is his party.
Seems kind of lame.
But yeah, I
But-
did not get that it was the wrong house, and so I was like, oh, this is a prank or something. But to the thought that they just wandered into it, why didn't they check that the address was where they were supposed to be? I'm not saying that they could have gotten there easily with the maps, but wouldn't you be like, they did their whole, oh, are we on Mariposa or blah 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 or blah blah blah, all these M name streets? don't you want
Maybe
to?
there's other streets with the same name in different whole cities. Maybe they're in the whole wrong city.
I guess also like what would they would have had to have like written the address down on a post-it or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you can. It's not like they just didn't have the maps feature on their phones, but could check their text messages to see what Justin said. Like this is still
They didn't have
beeper
any of
era
it.
or whatever.
Poor guys. Um, but I just love the reveal of the spookiness because like they convince themselves immediately that it's actually a haunted house, like
They're
an
so
intentionally
thrilled.
haunted house, like a haunted house party. They're like, oh fuck, Justin's party is so sick. They put this crazy shit. Like there's one part at the beginning where like nanny cam guy is off on his own and all the other guys are in another room and they like bust through the door and they're like holy shit, there were like arms coming through the wall. I've never seen that before. Yeah, man, you've never fucking seen that before. There's ghosts trying to pull you into the fourth dimension. Like
This one was so wild. I was like, there's just hands coming out of like walls.
And there's the ghost
Yeah.
girl in the chair in the mirror that he sees
Yes.
with like he clearly sees it and also the camera sees it. So in this one, it was clear to me that what the camera was seeing was also what the characters were seeing, which was the relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so early on, I was so scared that they were not that they were also were going to be terrible somehow, these men, and I was so
You've
anxious
been
about. I
trained.
know, I was so like on the edge of my seat, and I was just like, please let them be nice. And then when they like scared each other, they're like, we're gonna go scare Matt, and they like snuck up on him, and then Matt like whipped him with the plastic sword, and then immediately apologized. I was like, that is guys being dudes. I just want this whole group to be guys being dudes behavior, like using the styrofoam plate to grill. That's guys being dudes, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
But do we trust men at all anymore after this film? Yeah, I'm glad that it ends on this positive note for mankind, I would say. But yeah, I also like we love them. They're nice boys, but they're so stupid. They're like, oh, the party must be in the fucking attic. I can hear this not party chanting happening. It's not like someone yelling shots, shots, shots. Like that's not what's being chanted. It's like homine, homine, homine. Like I don't know, more Latin. Pretend I'm saying Latin right now. But they're like, let's go towards the Latin chanting. That seems wise.
And then they get there and they say, I think I found the party. And again, when they think Justin's party is just one big spooky house, like you can almost blame them, because if you were at a haunted house where there were a bunch of scenes set up, I think this could very possibly be one where it's like, we're torturing her. And then even when the guys start to like chant along and be like, yay, and then
that part was so funny.
So funny. And then the guys turn to them to be like, what are you doing here? Like I could see that existing in a set up haunted house for funsies, you know what I mean? But I could tell that it was not going that way. And also that is when I started to cope by typing in my notes, rut-row over and over again. And it was a hard movie to sit through, baby.
Oh, it was really rough. But yeah, I mean, they end up being the goodest boys of all time because even when confronted with
the invisible
men
forces picking people up.
Like, yeah,
not just human spookies.
But like foisted. They were being foisted again into the Ethernet. They're gone. They were being pulled up into the Ethernet, and you never saw them again. Okay, like those boys were gone, baby.
I think I probably would not have gone back into that house for that poor girl. I would have been like, you know what? Not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to Fresh again. You know what I mean? Like in Fresh, Paul is going there and then he's like, I know how this turns out. This is my opportunity to dip. I'm taking it. I think I would have forgiven the guys in this movie less if they'd done that, both because they like actually saw what was happening with their own eyes. You know, like Paul in fresh. He doesn't really grasp the nature of what's happening, and
Yeah.
Molly is not like visible in front of him with an opportunity for him to clearly act and do something. In this one, they'd seen her, and I don't think you always need to risk your life to help somebody, but after all of the men being so terrible up to this point, I needed them to be good, or I was going to lay down on the floor and never get up again. And just let myself dissolve into the earth and perish slowly over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I needed them to be nice boys, or I would simply cease to exist. And thank God they go back in and they go back for her.
Bad decision,
So
but
sad.
So sad. They're fighting through like I don't even know how many stories this house is. Feels like too many. And then they can't get, and then the doorknobs go away.
The house is like fighting back.
There's a lot of birds. There's so many birds in the house. Let the birds out.
Yeah.
And they finally have to go into the basement, which I was like, you dumb ass motherfuckers. But I guess they know about basements on these old house have those little like escape doors on the outside. So
like a storm door kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing, right? Sydney, do you know?
Yes.
Oh, is that
Storm
what it's
doors.
called? The storm door. That makes sense.
So they're probably not in LA if that's a thing, or maybe they're from the Midwest.
It's like a
and they moved
Victorian
out
old
and they have
house,
a
so maybe
band.
they just did that in some of them.
Sure.
I don't know. They were on the 134 for sure. They said
They
some
said
names of
134.
LA. They said 134, and then they said like a name of a city that starts with an M that I recognize, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah,
now.
I guess it could
Anyway.
be an interstate. I don't know much about the 134 off the top of my head. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna dissolve into the Californians.
We don't need to. We don't need to go. We don't need to go full the Californians on this right now.
Not right now. Maybe later. But yeah, I started to in my notes get worried about that too when the house was fighting back, because I was like, please don't let her be evil. And the guys from before have like been exercising the demon, and like the house is good for trying to stop them from taking her out of it. Like,
oh, that didn't even fucking occur to me. I was just like, the house wants to keep her because I thought that they were sacrificing her to whatever is haunting the house. So that's what I was like, they want to keep her because they're gonna eat her. But you're very smart.
I put in my notes, I want these guys being dudes to survive the night, and I want her to survive the night, and I want them all to be good. Like, I was trying so hard to manifest a somehow happy ending for this.
No happy ending.
Oh, so there was like they did film an alternate ending for this one.
Yeah.
Where because like at the end, like they get the girl eventually into the car and they're like driving away, and then the car just like dies, and then the girl disappears.
It
and
dies
they're, like,
on the train tracks.
And a train is coming at them, and then we see like, we see the girl be creepy, and then she like walks away with a bunch of birds.
She's got the birds. The birds are on her dime. You know that those birds are hers.
Here's the thing. She would love our friend Cooper, whose family has a bird.
Our
in
bird friend
Florida.
Cooper, who gets mentioned
bird
every
friend Cooper.
time birds are relevant.
I
Shouts
met a
to
bird person this
Cooper.
weekend as well. And I listened to this bird person talk about bird sex. And I was like, wow. Anyway,
Wow.
we're talking about it.
But the alternate ending, which I think kind of would have been fun, you know, is eventually like the train is coming at them and the doors do unlock and they all get out and they're like, whoa, best Halloween ever. As the car gets hit by a train.
And it explodes behind them. It's like the cool guys don't look at explosions. They turn their backs and walk away, that kind of thing. But I totally would have looked back. It was a joke ending. Like they weren't going to go with that, but they fucking should have. Radio silence. We needed a little joy.
Ending.
We needed some joy.
But it ends so
and
abruptly
then
after
the movie's
that.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
no,
movie
that's
is
just
over
the
after
end.
that.
I like that though. I like that too. Like, how else are they gonna put a bow on this? You won't. They just leave you feeling empty.
Do
And
they
that's
show
the point.
the empty chair at the end, or do they cut right from the car being smashed to
No,
the
it's
end?
just over.
That's what
Because
I thought.
that vignette is already done, which I didn't remember.
Mm.
The main bad boy from tape 56, he gets eaten by the zombie right before 10/31/98 starts. So that one's completely done. And then it just cuts back to the cool remix of sexual assault that I was talking about earlier. Loved that. No, it was terrible. I hated that. I was like, why does the credits have to remind me of the parts of this movie that I didn't like? Because at the end of 10/31/98, I was like, that was sick. Like, see, there's still cool, good things that happen in this, even though it's exploitive, and misogynistic.
Yes.
Like, there's still some things that I can glean from this that are positive. And then I was like, JK.
Yeah. That is, I would say, a flaw because like I said with the first two or I guess mainly the first two, it was so awful and sexual assaulty, especially after the setup of 56. But then I felt vindicated, like the harpy eats the bad guys, and then she's a lesbian and she's having fun and she's safe. And they're both doing a little getaway together. Like, I felt so good after those that I was like, okay with the rest of them.
Nothing can hurt me.
Yes, like that vindication felt okay enough that even when the rest weren't about bad people getting eaten and it was like bad things happening to good people, it didn't make you sit through so many things that were terrible, other than the sick Emily one. When the titties come out for the second girl at the end, you like feel bad because you know what's happening now. And, you know, even though she's showing them consensually and it's her choice, she cannot give informed consent because she doesn't know that she's going to be gaslit and turned into
an alien.
Yeah, exactly. But like the Tuesday the 17th and the Halloween one, like those feel okay enough because they're still fun, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make you feel bad. But then they went, hey, remember when you felt bad at the beginning of the movie? And it's like, well, now I do. I didn't a minute ago.
And it's like remix, so it's like titty, 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 titty over and over and over again. I was like, no, please turn it off. And then I did, which we could do because it was the end. And that brings us to our segments. The first one being, how could this movie be gayer? And we already know that it is canonically gay, which we love. But there's one gay part that we didn't point out, and that was in Tuesday the 17th. When someone is making some sort of comment to Joey.
Oh, yeah.
And about Spider, and they're it was to Spider, and they're like, oh, like, would you fuck Joey if you had to? And Spider was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then Joey was like, yeah, man. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, bisexual kings. I liked them.
I think
Except, well, Spider is creepy. But Joey was, I think, nice. I think Joey was one good boy as well.
I think that Patrick just wanted to have sex with Shane.
From
in the
Amateur
Amateur Night one, which is why he was like, well, my turn to get in there.
That's why he was like laughing when the girl passed out, because he's like, ha ha ha, you can't have sex with her, but you can have sex with me. I'm right here.
I'm right here.
I'm right here.
I'm a legal age. Just whenever you need an alternate option.
Like, you're gonna go with Lily? I'm right here on the couch.
But I'm right here.
Yeah.
I like that read.
I didn't need this movie to be any gayer than it was, though. That they were murdering lesbians was thrilling enough for me. And I was like, yay!
Lesbians who murder.
Yeah. What did I say?
It sounded like you were saying that they were murdering lesbians. Like, lesbians were getting murdered. And I was like, no.
To clarify,
If we had had that would have been bad.
Yeah, I think that was gay, and that I was thrilled by it, and that it was set up perfectly for me to feel like yay instead of boo. That carried me through the rest of the movie. I felt good about that, and I'm happy it was there.
Little gay wave in the middle of it. Thank God.
And thank you to Ty West for that one. Thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
I liked
Ty.
it.
We love you, Ty. Good boy.
I was happy about it. Happy you didn't ruin
we
the
don't
desert.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's something to be said about all these boys being bad boys, talking about making amateur porn. There's something there for them to all be gay. But I hate them all, and I don't want to welcome them into our community.
Not part of this.
So they're not allowed, and
No.
bye. A similar vein, Where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie? I don't want him in it. I don't want him in it because of all the men are bad. So there's like too many could have played. And if it was him, then it wouldn't have played out as well. It has to be no names.
Okay, but I think he could have played the zombie.
Oh, the guy in
Fair.
the chair.
Fair.
Yeah, like where he murders all the ick boys.
Love that.
I think that would have been, and they could have like aged him up a little bit with makeup, so like you wouldn't have
Aesthetics.
known, and then we would have been like, oh my god, the zombie was Matthew Lillard.
That
That
would've
would
been
Sick. That would have been sick. I would have loved that.
Or he could have been one of the chanting men that you never really see their face in 1031-98. Or he could have been the sound of the birds going caw as they fly by.
He's the Foley artist for this movie.
He's one of the arms coming out of the wall.
I wouldn't want him in this role, but I think he would do this role justice.
No.
As he could have been James in the Emily one.
He could have been Sam in the second
Oh.
honeymoon one, also.
Like, I think
Yeah.
he would have done very it would have been creepy. It would he would have been very good in those.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Okay, fine. We found
If it
some
were like the
pieces.
beginning of his career and he was an unknown at that time, you know what I mean?
Yes. But like, I don't think that this was a great career launch because I've never seen any of these people ever again.
Which is kind of fun because it lends itself even years later to like the found footage aspect of it all, but also
It's very troll,
bummer
too.
for these people, except for Lily, who got to be in Siren. But again,
Yeah,
if she hasn't gotten to do much else after that, that's also not ideal.
you might have a budding career.
Maybe.
Well, look, we love her.
Keep an
We
eye
love her.
out.
And I want to watch Siren. I heard that it got okay reviews.
What was her name
And
again?
I like the idea of it. Hannah something. Hannah
Hannah Fierman.
Fireman.
Maybe. We don't know. Readers.
Fear,
Guess.
fire, something like that. Okay, well that brings us to the dumb bitch. And like, how do you narrow it down? There's too many. They're all
Any man in this movie is the dumb bitch.
man except for Joey and our good boys at the end.
Honestly,
fair game.
even just maybe Joey, because the good boys at the end are very well-meaning, but also so stupid. They wandered into that house and they were like, yay, this is the
That's
party.
true.
We're having fun.
Yeah, I guess Joey is doing the least.
And Joey's
he's
one
doing the
keeping
least
up
bad.
and
He's like,
being
I'm just
he's the one being like, wait, did you just say we're all gonna die? Wait, I remember the murder set you're talking. Like, he's putting pieces together at least.
yeah. She's like, come fuck me right now, and he's like,
No,
no,
he's like, that's literally
No.
not the vibe.
no. He's like, but
I don't think that I will. That seems like a bad
I
call
don't-
in this moment.
It's this porn time. No,
And he like senses that she's having some sort of like trauma response by bringing them back to the same place on the date if she was
Yeah.
involved. So I think he is the only man involved who's not a dumb bitch.
Yeah. Okay. So how about this? We give the anti dumb bitch award to Joey. For men.
For men.
For men. And then every other man.
Dumb
Is
bitch.
the dumb
Yeah,
bitch.
dumb bitch.
Yeah, fair.
I feel
And the
good about
women,
that.
live your lives, honey. And any non-binary characters, live your lives. I
The
just
girls, the gays, and the theys.
Incredible.
lives.
live your
Iconic.
lives. I just want to say really quickly that Hannah Fierman has an illustrious horror career.
Oh, good.
And yes, she's been in literally 10 billion things. Oh, she was in Vampire Diaries.
Oh my god! And she's
Anyway.
got 1 jillion projects coming out next year.
One good Jillian. There's literally so
she was
many.
in an episode
Wow.
of Dynasty. I love Dynasty.
Ooh.
I love her. We'll do Siren one day on the pod. Unless it's really fucked up like some of these vignettes, and then maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll vet it first. That brings us to our knives out of 5. So what did people think about this fine work of cinema?
Some mediocre feelings, lukewarm feelings about this movie. It has a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 57% rotten from critics, so more than half of critics thought it was bad. And it has 41% rotten from audiences. Oh, wait. 43% of critics thought it was bad because 57% thought it was good, I guess. And then 41% of audiences thought it was bad. Or 41% thought it was good. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm getting my Rotten Tomatoes, how that works, confused. Anyway, people didn't like it. It was rotten. But it did at South by Southwest, where I think you said it debuted. I agreed with you then, but not because I have any knowledge about it. But IMDb trivia says it did win the audience award at South by Southwest in 2012. So the audience at South by Southwest liked it. Audiences overall, critics overall, less so.
Fair. Okay. Well, I mean, I've seen this movie before. I remember being scared shitless, and I feel like now I'm scared shitless in a different way than before. I was still spooky scared, like, oh, a ghost is on the screen, I'm scared. Oh, there's a dead body, or there's a entrail. Oh no, like, yeah. But I was also like, misogyny permeates my veins.
Oh my God,
it courses through me.
Tiring.
Yeah, I didn't. This is kind of like a dude man bro movie. It's very
This movie is definitely for the boys.
brotastic. And like when it gets away from that, I really like it, because I think that I really like found footage stuff when it's done well. I think there's some really creative takes on found footage in this. I'm glad that not a single one of these was allowed to become a full-length feature film, except apparently Amateur Night is a full-length feature film in Siren. And I will vet that, as I just said. But like, you know, I like this whole concept. I like the vignettes. It makes it more horrifying though, because you can't, it's two sides. You can't like someone enough in it to be super sad when they die because you've known them for 1 minute. But you also, like, everyone, there's no stakes, and so like everybody pretty much ends up fucked up, so you're kind of sad at the end. So I don't know. I really like the concept. I really want to watch some of the other VHSs to see what they did with it. I can't imagine the one that's called Viral is good. But I might try it. We'll see. That said, this didn't hold up as well as I wanted it to hold up, and I have a lot of problems with it, but I still am glad that it exists, I guess, on a whole. So I'm gonna give it, like, is a 3 too nice?
I don't know.
I was gonna give it I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
I'm gonna give it
Should we
I'm
confer?
gonna give it a 3 because it made me feel bad.
Yeah.
For now, I'll say 3.
Okay.
But I still really liked a lot of the things that they did with it, and it gave a lot of space for like a creative tries with different types of horror. So you know, whatever. Someone
Here's
else.
my thing. I'm doing 3.5 out of 5 because this movie did scare me, which is why it gets the 0.5. When it first came out, like, this movie, and this is like my only second rewatch, because I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I was very scared, but this movie did not age well at all. Like, this movie is like a movie of the times, you know, like,
great way to put it.
I don't need to watch this movie ever again.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt too. But like what? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue your thought.
Oh no, I was
okay. Then I'll say thoughts next. But yeah, that is kind of how I felt, because like I said, the setup is so rough, and then it leading directly into Amateur Night and that being rough, and then those vibes lending itself to Second Honeymoon, and like the vibes there being not great, and then loaning a lot of really scary misogyny from the first two. Like it definitely borrowed those for the overall vibe. Those first two, the endings of Amateur Night and the ending of Second Honeymoon, do so much for me to carry the film to a place where I feel generally positive about it. Because I was really scared that the whole thing was going to be like, people are bad and misogyny is real. And it's like, I know.
Don't I know?
You don't have to tell me. And what I thought about that was great in Fresh was that like it's very much from a female perspective, you know what I mean? But a lot of these parts felt like misogyny is real and bad, and also it was from a male perspective. And it's like, I'm so glad that you're discovering this, but the rest of us didn't have to be told. And so that felt icky.
Yeah.
But then the good boys in the final one again helped a lot. And I really liked, even though it had some of the same problems that Sick Emily one, whatever that one is called, I liked that one enough that even though it had the vibes, and even though Emily got and even though James continued his pattern, I was like, felt good about that short. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, I had only watched it the one time. I watched it just before we recorded. We needed to chat for a little while before we started recording so that I could like calm down, basically. I don't know that I'll ever watch it again or want to watch it again.
That's fine. I
felt good about some of these. And so I also want to be in that same range as you guys. And I think I'm going to give it like a 3.3, but that's very much a provisional rating, because I don't know how my feelings are going to change tomorrow after I've had a day to digest, or like in a month from now, you know what I mean? We'll see.
Yeah. I think that it's hard to rate one like this when it's an anthology, because there's so many pieces and some are better than others, but also they're all so inextricably bound because like each one makes you feel something about the next, you know? They don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in this anthology. So you have to rate them all together.
Yeah. And
so,
I think
I'm going to stick with a 3.
I think if the credits, instead of being the like remix of the horrible footage from the beginning, if the credits had been like Jennifer's Body style, where we see the guys in the house getting ripped apart, you know what I mean? That could have been fun and made me feel better and been like, yay, at the end.
Or just a black screen.
But
words.
I think they wanted to like close it out, like bookend it, you know what I mean? And that's a way that they could have bookended it that I would have not felt like immediately put back into that horrible feeling from the beginning. But that was not the choice that was made. So
yeah.
Anyway, IMDb trivia says that they said the word fuck 240 times in this movie, and I said it 74 times in my notes.
Amazing. Amazing. That's VHS for you. So we're doing something that is not so horrifying in the same way next week. Actually, wait. Are we doing what I think we're doing next week?
I think so.
We are.
We're doing what you think you're doing.
Okay, wait. Okay, should we tag team introduce this one?
You guys got this.
Okay, the reason that we're doing this, it was inspired by a listener because she was like, I like this franchise and you haven't touched it. But then I looked at the calendar. I'm in the Ethernet. I'm sorry. I looked at the calendar and I was like, wait a minute. There's a very important date coming up that's not often celebrated. And that date is April 30th, which is the half birthday of Halloween. So Sydney, what are we doing next week?
Halloween!
Yay! We'll actually
finally
tag team
doing
back
it.
in just for a second, because like we have talked about doing this in October as like a Halloween movie, and then we were always like, is it too on the nose? I don't know. But then it felt like weird to do it at any other time of the year. But then you guys were like, this is halfway to Halloween, and I was like, I'm in, I'm sold. That's the perfect hook. I love it. I'm so excited.
And also, like, we needed to fucking start somewhere with this goddamn franchise. It has 10,000 movies, and I want to get to H2O because I haven't seen it yet, and it looks like it's exciting.
Is that the one with Tyra Banks?
Yes.
Fun.
That's why I want to see it. That is exactly why I want to see it.
Judy Greer's
so yeah, we're doing it. We're taking on Michael Myers. It's happening. So I'm excited. This is gonna be really fun. So, you know, why not give us a gift for experiencing a full 2 hours of basically trauma watching VHS. And that gift could be a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, any of those places. You could say, "I'm so sorry that that happened to you," and that could be the review.
Please say that because I need to hear it.
Can you imagine? We got a ha ha
Somebody,
ha, ha,
yeah,
ha.
somebody
So,
did the ha ha
can-
ha. If you want to be next in the legacy, leave us a "I'm so sorry that happened to you," please.
review.
I love when people actually say like, "Hey, do this." It makes me actually piss
It
my pants from
literally
laughing.
sent me. I cackled. I was at work when I saw it, and I like was making sounds that could be heard outside of my office. So thank you, whoever did that. But anyway, also, we're giving gifts to you here at Spooky Tuesday. So don't forget that we have a link with Ana Luisa. If you go to shop.analuisa.com/spooky Tuesday, you get access to Ana Luisa's buy one, get one, 40% off sale for Mother's Day. So try it out. It's in our show notes. You're going to love it. Also follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. We're posting fire TikToks daily. So you got to get on there. And also we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. So you got a lot of options, a lot of content, and I gotta say thank you for listening.
Bye, spookies.
Did you erase it?
What the fuck was that?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.